to Cassette Connection, the podcast where we discuss music and meaning with the people who make it. My name is Ben, and with me is Alex. Hello, everyone. This week, we aren't actually talking to a musician about their music and why they make it. We're talking to each other.
Yes, we are.
We're talking points and putting together this little bonus episode so you guys can hear our opinions.
Yeah, we've run out of people to talk to. So.
Yeah. Hopefully more people appear in the future.
I hope so too.
So we can keep this train going.
Yeah, but until then, Ben has tabled some minutes. So
we've got talking points on our various devices to talk about. But first, we're going to tell you about a podcast, another Australian music podcast. Karen from Sounds on the Couch has given us a shout out so kindly, and so we're returning the favour.
Yeah. If you are interested in the Australian music scene and are looking for more great conversations with musicians and music professionals, check out Sounds on the Couch podcast.
Here, Karen interviews some incredible musicians and professionals, including Emmy-nominated songwriters and marketing wizards from tech businesses like StreamYard.
We can't recommend it enough.
Ayo. So I guess in this episode, we'll be talking a bit about our episodes thus far, talking about some of the interesting or some of the points that we thought were interesting from
those episodes.
Might talk about what we like about the podcast, what we've liked in those conversations. I think it's also interesting to talk about some of the points that have come up in regards to like streaming and so on. So we'll dive into that world.
That seems to come up at the end of every episode.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Expand on it a little bit.
It's the modern world, so we can't ignore it.
No.
And then I think we'll end with the what are we listening to game.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's jump in.
Yeah.
So we've done 13 episodes.
13.
Lucky 13. Lucky 13?
I don't know.
What numbers are lucky? Anyway, doesn't matter. We've done 13 episodes, 13 great talks with various different sizes of ensemble. Could be one person, could be two people, could be an entire band or 3/4 of a band. But they've all been really great so far. And it's been quite a diverse range thus far, hasn't it?
I would agree. I'd agree. Sort of people from all types of musical backgrounds, which is really cool. For me, it's been pretty eye-opening in that sense because I don't know, I'm probably a little bit narrow-minded in the music that I listen to. So to get all these different perspectives and hear all this cool stuff is just like, wow.
Yeah, and it is good, yeah. Kind of open your ears and eyes.
And your brain.
Let it expand. Yeah. There have been some quite brain-expanding moments, haven't there?
Yeah.
I mean, talking to Brendan, I remember that one being a big one.
Yeah, really deep there.
Yeah, Brendan and I really kind of locked in on some of the more kind of nerdy things about like performing and writing and that kind of thing. It's been great for me to actually like, talk to people, talk to my, I guess my contacts, my musician friends, people that I've worked with, but haven't like taken the time to be like, hey, how do you actually feel about it? Like
have like an in-depth discussion about music, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And like the music that they're making, not just like kind of what we're listening to. And what's what people find groovy and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And to sort of dive into it, a bit deeper than I guess you normally would.
Well, no, definitely. Definitely. Especially doing the episode with Lost Coast as well, with the band boys.
Yeah.
That was great because it's like I said, kind of in the beginning of the episode, we don't really take the time to like talk about it too often. To reflect on it,
And
I think when you're in the motions, you're just kind of going through it. Like Alex and I, me, Alex and Dylan, Luke and Pat, like we played together for so long. Pat for not as long, but Luke, Alex and I have played together for so long that we just kind of know what's happening. And then to be able to like put that and actually have like a reflection on it.
Yeah.
And talk about it. I thought that was really good. That was really fun for me. I don't know how you felt about it.
No, it was great. It's always a good time hanging out with the Lost Coast boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting that you bring that up. You know, and I feel like people have said that at the end of their episodes, like, "Oh, I've never spoken about my work like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've never taken the time to actually step back and look at it like that
And reflect on it and that kind of thing." Yeah, that is something that's come up pretty often, right? Like even Kira's like, "Damn, I hadn't thought about it like that in depth," or and like they've sent messages after and being like, "Hey, thanks for the interview. That was really in depth," and so on. Which is good.
Yeah,
it's good that we're getting to that. I think.
No, I think so.
That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
we're interested in. We want to hear about why they do it.
You know, yeah.
And I think that comes down to like a lot of. We have been, in a sense, talking to not genre or stylistically similar people, but people that kind of do have some very clear thoughts on what they're doing and why they're doing it and how they're doing it.
Yeah.
So I like talking, basically everyone we've talked to so far, maybe Bakira a little, but even she's not, she's not a signed artist or anything like that. She has a management team, etc. But like she's still doing it herself to a degree.
Yeah.
And everyone else, like Hetty, she puts all her music together basically on her own, does all the, outsources where she needs to, but does the work, books the shows, and books, shows in like Goulburn, shows in Braidwood. For anyone who's listening outside of Canberra, they wouldn't know where those two places are, but, they're regional Australian country towns.
Yeah. And you could say the same about you and Pat for Lost Coast.
Yeah, well, like we do the work. Pat does the merch stuff. Pat does show booking in Canberra. I make sure that the band practices.
Herding some cats.
Yeah. And yeah, even like Snape put all their work together as well. Erin does all the visual stuff. They go into the studio, put that work in. Porrick puts all his music together himself.
Yeah.
Teachers on the side, that kind of thing. And I mean, Alec, as a composer, has always had the mentality of doing it yourself. Like he even said in the interview, like if you want something done in a specific way, then you should just learn how to do it and do it.
And I fully agree with that. And I think that's a big part of it too, is doing it like for yourself, not doing it like I guess the way I kind of look at it is like you're doing it for yourself first, and everything else that comes with it, like fans and shows and stuff, that kind of comes second.
Yeah. And that's kind of the outcome of the work.
Exactly.
But you're doing
right.
the work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nonetheless, and I think that's really admirable, and it is great to see, and just to see the quality that comes with that as well.
Totally.
Everything that comes with that is really incredible, and that comes. I guess that also comes to like the people who, everyone who's put in so much thought into their work in terms of like how to actually make it, how to reflect on it. And that's, one of the really interesting points to me is to talk about like literally how do you make a piece of music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like, I do it. And sometimes I think about it. And, so, like Cam mentioned in the interview with Snape, we all kind of fall back on some stylistic tropes. And Millie even mentioned it when we were talking to her. She said, I've got my cool licks.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got the licks that I fall back on when I'm playing in an improvised setting. But I want to kind of be able to do more.
Yeah.
And, Cam said the same thing. I like playing title fight inspired riffs. And that's going to come out. And like lyrically, you're going to find similar themes and that kind of stuff. But it is getting to the starting point is one of the really interesting things for me. I don't know how you feel about that kind of thing.
No, it's, you probably think about it, I'd say a lot deeper than I do, but
Well, just by the nature of the fact that you know,
You're a
I write
musician.
songs.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's even something I think about is like sometimes I think about it like,
it's definitely interesting to think
yeah. And you know, you get into your trappings and that kind of stuff. I know I play this shape on the guitar.
You fall into your mechanical habits.
Because that's my mechanical habit. Yeah. Exactly. And I think one of the really interesting things that came up with Porrick in our interview with him is he was saying, you know, to approach something differently, sometimes you have to do something differently.
Yeah.
You have to change the tuning on the guitar or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And there is a little bit around, and that approach I think is really, really good. Like Mick Gordon.
Yeah.
A perfect example.
Yeah. Australian guy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does work kind of in the box and out the box. He does a lot of, I mean, I'm only talking about listening to him talk about like how he did the Doom soundtrack.
Yeah.
And
but he really
kind of honed in on like
thinking
building a sound and that kind of thing. Even though the brief was like don't use guitars, he kind of still fell back into that trapping but made it different. Yeah. And put in the thought, the effort, the work to put that in there. You know, there have been countless interesting things to talk about. I guess like recording, like production techniques is another thing. That's something that interests me a lot as well.
Totally.
Because it's like, yeah, you can write the song cool, very cool, but putting it on wax is a different thing as well. And like, how does it translate from your practice room or your bedroom or something onto the recorded medium?
Yeah, you and I have talked about that a little bit. You know, where does the song, you know, I guess almost exist, you know, coming from where you write it and you're playing and performing the song to, you know, getting it to something that's kind of stuck in time. This is how the song is going to sound, you know, finding that the balance of that.
This is the song on recorded medium.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a hard thing to get to, and I think that's why production techniques and recording techniques are really interesting. And no, I mean, like Porrick talked about it, right?
Yeah.
Using specific gear and, you know, making sure if you want the tape sound, things to run over tape and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my own experience, like doing the Lost Coast album, you know, making sure, like it was run over tape. Because there is something that is kind of picked up in that process. You get a bit of saturation or compression or something like that, and that's all builds the sonic aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And and it's just about like how do you do things? It's more like process stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like how does Millie get an idea out of her head and translate that on the piano and then into a recorded sound?
The expression of that idea. Yeah.
And how like talking about like using pre-recorded work or something like that, like samples or found sounds or field recordings and that kind of thing. I mean, Millie put it perfectly, like sonic serendipity.
Yeah.
That's a point that I really liked. I don't know how you feel about it.
I got nothing here.
Yeah. You haven't thought too hard about it. I mean,
I haven't.
You know a little bit about recording and so on.
A little bit. Probably not in any extent I'd love to share with the people.
You know about Get Good Drums.
I do know about Get Good Drums.
And Bias FX rig. But that's one of the big points for me. Those are the two big points, I think. The kind of how they do it, how they get started, the entire process from start to finish, and then like, the DIY musicianship. I also think the bios have been really...
People are good at talking about themselves.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah,
because
so
it informs, you know, who they are, and why they do things.
Exactly right. And it gives you a bit of that initial insight, and you're like, you know, okay, and then it just grows from there.
Exactly. Yeah, you go from, you know, Alec moved across the world to live on an island.
A tiny island.
Yeah, so that he could learn the pipes.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Wow.
And now he's here.
Yeah.
And now he's here writing, you know, open scores. semi-drone kind of stuff that, builds and is, you could say inspired by pipe music or anything like that. I mean, Porrick is another example again of being like raised in remote Australia and just being like, yeah, okay. And I think it's really important to kind of reflect on the biography of people.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, well, it's a massive part of it.
Yeah.
Like,
even if it's early days, it's still, it doesn't matter where you are in terms of your career or, your journey, your process or anything. You could be just starting, but at least there has been something along the line to inform where you are now. I guess, Kira is another example of that. Her whole family, her dad is a professional musician and a professional singer, basically. And that kind of informs her style.
Yeah, no.
Like exactly. It definitely, you can see it, like
how it shapes people.
In her household to where she is today. You know where that stylistically came from. And same with Alec Brinsmead as well. His dad, a jazz guitarist. So that even though, and this is something that I love that comes from most people's bios, is that we all kind of start with punk, right? We all kind of start with like punk and metal. Like even though you go through that phase, you end up kind of where you're meant to be. Yeah. In a weird way. Because where you're meant to be is like, hard to say.
That's people spend their whole lives trying to figure that out.
And that's not for me to say, but I enjoy what they're making at the moment.
Totally.
So that's where they're meant to be at this time. And I guess that's another good point. I mean, we've both been through the punk days.
We have.
And a lot of people that we've spoken to have been through the punk days as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to reflect on that kind of thing?
What? About what?
Just being a punk and then like carrying that on into your later...
Being a little hardcore kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. For me, my experience, just that whole scene and music, I found it like overwhelmingly just positive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess. But it's a bit of a cliche saying you can make aggressive music, but with a positive, positive attitude,
positive vibe.
Yeah. And that's been going on for ages. You go back to like the 80s with Bad Brains, and PMA, and all that kind of stuff. But it was. I guess it's just an awesome place to start. Because the music itself. I played in a punk band. Me and Cam from Snape used to play shows together and stuff. I guess it's a really good place to start. The music's not that complicated. You get into it. Everyone gets around it, and you're all just there because you love it. For no other reason. Yeah.
And it's like an energy thing again.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's like, very, even though it's this kind of like, damn you world thing. But it's still like very positive at the same time.
Yeah, exactly right. Right.
And like you said, and even Cam said in the thing, like the Black Wire crowd and all that kind of stuff was a very positive thing. I even remember like in Canberra it was incredibly positive during those days. And
when I first moved to Canberra, I didn't know anyone. I met people just going to shows.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good way. It's a great conversation starter, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can pick them out. You definitely can. I just think it's really funny that we all kind of start there.
Totally.
But again, it's like you said, it's like very accessible.
Yeah.
And welcoming. And then you kind of, build from there.
Yeah.
No, it's a really funny and kind of, it's one of those quirky things. It kind of doesn't really matter where you're from at that point.
But
you always kind of start from that
there,
position.
Yeah. Yep.
But I guess that's, unless you have anything else that you'd like to talk about in terms of what our podcast has covered thus far.
No. I think I don't really have anything else to add to that. You did a very good job summing it all up.
Surmising,
yes.
Surmising. Well, I guess then we'll roll into talking about
the Spotify conundrum.
The Spotify conundrum, and you wanted to talk more kind of broadly on like streaming
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. Just about like how you listen to music and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it all kind of ties into the Spotify conundrum.
Yeah.
But
well, we'll talk about like our kind of
experiences.
How we got
here.
First.
Yeah. Because that's one thing that always comes up.
It comes up with every interview, doesn't it? Like we always mention streaming at some point.
Exactly. Like pretty much everyone said, I've just been listening to my daily mix. Hey, yeah. But we would before we sat down today,
pre-production,
yeah, we're talking a little bit about this, and it's just in some ways it's awesome. You have all this music. Like I remember one of the first times I ever used Spotify, I was just like, what do I listen to?
Yeah, I'm spoiled for choice.
Yeah, exactly. Because before Spotify, it was just like, I'd listen to what's in my iTunes library. And what was in my iTunes library was stuff that I had gone and found, I guess I have to backpedal a bit because, it goes back to the days when I was like, 10 years old, asked my dad to buy me this CD because I thought it looked cool. You find bands you like that way. And, I guess going from there, we were talking about this before, but about 10 years ago, you could just type into Google band album name Mediafire, and you could just download
and get any album.
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally how I got every hardcore album I was listening to.
And that's where it all came from for me anyway. I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's changed over time, obviously, but it's just been so different.
It has,
yeah,
and it's like I said, it's awesome in some ways, but in other ways, it's like really changed the way I consume music. Because I very rarely find myself now like listening to an album cover to cover.
Which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I used to love talking about albums.
Yeah.
Like
the entire album.
I
love this Have Heart song
exactly.
on this album.
Exactly. And how albums, sort of have themes.
Yeah, or they flow.
Exactly.
Or like song placement, that kind of thing.
Tell a story or that kind of stuff. But, it just doesn't happen anymore. And also, it's made me like really lazy in a way how I find new music as well. Because I sort of, like we were saying before, back in the day, you used to just, you'd be listening to something in iTunes, you go to Last FM and you look up similar artists, and then you go and like find all these bands, or this band is like really cool, and just based on that. But now it's just like, oh, okay, I like this song. Let's see if I can find something else. And this is pretty rare for me to even do this because go to radio, and then
what it gives you.
Yeah, exactly right, I'm not actually searching anymore.
I remember the Last FM days were good. Because it was like, what you could do on your computer at home.
Yep.
And you're sitting there in your bedroom, whatever. And exactly that. I'm listening to, a band I like.
Yeah.
And then I go on their Last FM page and you literally scroll down on their page.
Similar artists
at the bottom, and you click through all of them.
Yeah.
And then you pick the ones that you like.
And I found like so many good bands that way.
Exactly.
We were talking about it before.
And then I guess before that, I wasn't really old enough to be like just go to the store and like pick out any CD. I kind of like knew what I wanted. And that was kind of informed because I have older siblings. That was definitely informed by them and like what was on the radio and what was happening, kind of osmosis.
Yeah.
Which is probably, most people's at that time.
Yeah.
Which is not long ago. That wasn't, over 20 years ago or anything like that. That was like, 15 years ago kind of thing. But then the Last FM thing was really good because, the internet just opened up this world of like...
accessibility.
Yeah. Oh, I can find anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I can find bands from America I would have never have found before.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I used to do that. Like high school was a big time for that for me as well. I was just like full on... just loved thrash metal.
Yeah.
What I'd do is like, you'd find a band like File Sharing or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was this website called the Metal Archives.
Hell
you could go there. It has like over 10,000 bands, like all, sort of catalogued. You'd go there, you like look up a band, same thing, read reviews on their albums. And then similar kind of bands you'd find into that, or other members were in other bands like that.
Yeah.
And you'd find music that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've never been on the metal archives. But was it like, could you download the songs? And
No.
stuff like
It was,
that?
it was just
like,
a catalogue of
Yeah.
like what they'd released.
damn.
And, yeah.
So it's like a wiki for every.
Yeah,
you know,
it was like
yeah.
a wiki or every type of metal.
Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah. And like sharing with your friends.
Yeah.
Of course, like, you know, I don't know, iPods were massive.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
listen to this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had I never really had like an iPod until I got the big one, like the 80 gig
Yeah.
one. I always had like the 3 gig like little USB
Yeah.
stick one
Yeah.
that you could put like, you know, 300 MP3s on kind of thing. And, you know, had to take the bus ride. So I was always listening to it.
It's crazy how it's just changed in that regard as well.
Yeah.
I used to take so much pride in my iTunes library.
Yeah. You
It's all
kind
sitting
of
on
perfectly
it's all
curated
sitting on that hard drive
on that
over
hard
there.
drive.
Yeah.
And like having to rip a CD.
Yeah.
Like you go to a
far
show,
out.
you buy
I forgot
the
about-
band CD,
yeah.
and then you you put it in your computer and
You
rip
rip
it
it,
onto
yeah,
your
yeah.
iTunes library. And then I remember like the kind of time when it went from being like you would rip a CD onto your thing, and then it would like auto populate with all the information because it
grab
was
all the metadata.
it was downloading it from the actual like Apple Music store and stuff like
Mm.
that. And then it just changed completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And like the physical, I mean, CDs, you kind of have a point to like relinquish the CD, right? It's not the most amazing physical format in the world.
No, it's pretty rubbish.
Yeah, it's like it's a plastic disc that spins fast.
Yeah.
Like that's cool,
Yeah.
but it's not really like all that tangible, you know.
No.
And that's, I guess, that kind of is why the vinyl resurgence thing happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, that being said, like the physical drop off just kind of happened in like a space of like 2 years or even less.
I would agree with that.
Just because it's in your phone, right?
Exactly right. And I think, you know, that's the way we've like consumed music, but the way it's also shaped music as well as the way, you know, people write music with streaming like as a conscious thought, you know.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
It is. Yeah, it is crazy that it's, you know,
Just
changed
now,
it that much.
You're targeting an algorithm.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly right. And you're writing songs, I guess. Well, the way I kind of look at it is you're writing songs in a way that if streaming wasn't a thing, would you have written the song that way? You know, would you have made like a really, really catchy, just intro, really short song?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It goes down to like even like song structure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could say, you know, radio changed the song structure, that kind of thing.
Exactly right.
Fair enough. It did. And it all kind of fell into the pop structure, but now streaming is changing it as well, which I guess goes to like how people not only like, you know, are targeting the algorithm or targeting playlists or anything like that, but they're also targeting like how you make an album.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I brought this up with a few of our interviewees. You know, I was talking to Kira about it. Like, are you worried about like doing a big album or putting more EPs out or that kind of thing? Or like, are you just going to do singles and let that kind of see what hits?
Exactly right. Because that as well, like the way, you know, looking at this as from like a rock and metal background, that's changed a lot too. It's a lot more singles these days where, you know, back in the day it was like, all right, you get, you know, maybe an EP or a single.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this before, like a single with maybe a cover or something.
Yeah,
like that,
exactly.
You know?
And had cover or like a weird remix or something.
And that'd be out for a few months, and then the album.
And then you get
comes
the
along.
album. Yeah. Because it's like it's about the rollout, right? It's about like, and I mean, Cam even talked about it, like, I had a rollout plan for this album because like
we
had to think about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to just be like put the album out and just, you know, do some shows and whatever, and we've done it, and whoever listens kind of thing. But like now it's like exactly how you said. You would put a single out in anticipation of an album, and you do that, you know, 3 months later you might put the second single out, or you put the album out at that point. And to a degree that still happens.
Yeah.
But I think definitely you're seeing a lot more just singles.
Yeah.
And that could be for any reason. But you're also seeing albums that are completely different. in terms of structure to what an album is, what we kind of traditionally think of as an album, like 40 minutes of music, whatever.
Yep.
Just because of the way streaming works. Now, and I've brought this up with some of the interviewees as well, it seems like there's two ways of doing it, right? You do singles only and you see which one hits a Spotify playlist or whatever. And that's great. Cool. I've got 30,000 streams in a playlist.
Yeah.
Or you release 30 songs at once, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Why would you release 30 songs at once?
It's like an overload. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you might get people who are dedicated enough to listen through.
Just casting a really wide net, I
yeah,
guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, you hit, out of that, you get 2 songs that hit playlists. But they're, 2 minute 30 songs kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, that's the thing. Like I said, I find it rare to listen to an album cover to cover. It's like, all right, you've released a 30-song album, but
how can I listen to that?
Well, not only that, it's like, is anyone else paying attention to the rest of the album, or is it only those 2 songs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where's your meat and potatoes? I mean, in the old days, they would call it filler.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you've got your top song is your new single, and your last song is the banger on the album.
Yeah.
And the rest in between is filler.
Yeah, exactly.
And people talk about like classic albums as wall-to-wall killer, no filler. I think
Sum
that was
41.
Yeah. And now it's just like, you don't want to say like, oh, it's all just filler now, it's whatever, but it is just very weird. Why would you release 30 songs at once?
Yep.
It's okay to have 30 songs.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, yeah.
But, yeah. And like, there is a thing to say of like, when are you going to get the chance to listen through 30 songs?
Yeah, that's another thing as well, yeah.
You're just kind of, and at that point you're relying on the Spotify playlist to give you a song from the album that is the one you actually want to listen to.
Yep.
And I guess that comes into the Spotify conundrum.
And like, it's all very interesting stuff. Like if I do hear a song like in a playlist that I really like, all right, I'll go and check out the album, the band. But I find that's like a rarer and rarer happening, Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting because like Porrick brought it up and he said, sometimes my students don't even know the names of the music that they're listening to.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's crazy.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. Because it's like, how can you like actually kind of connect with something without knowing the author and at least the name of the song?
Yeah.
I mean, I have been guilty in the past of like just not knowing what names of songs are.
Yeah.
Especially in like instrumental music and so on. But at the same time, it's like, at least you know who's the author.
You know where it's coming from. Yeah.
Which, again, goes to the conundrum. And the latest move, which Cam kind of briefly brought up in our interview with Snape, but I think is worth diving into and kind of fleshing out in full, is their latest scheme, which is
a scheme is really what it is.
It is a scheme, isn't it? It's a dirty, dirty scheme.
Yeah.
And I guess we should talk about it. But for those who don't know, Spotify have announced a scheme where an artist or a band or whoever is uploading the music to the platform can forfeit, I guess you'd say.
Forfeit?
Yeah, forfeit some of
Forgo.
Forgo.
Yeah.
Some of the very lucrative
revenue.
That's a very sarcastic tone that I'm putting there. The very lucrative revenue that comes from a stream in order to bolster their chances of being algorithmically picked to land in a playlist, which is really very scummy.
Yeah.
Because not only have they kind of done away with the like curated playlist or anything like that in terms of actually like building on their platform, some kind of human identity behind this thing. they're now asking people to essentially engage in payola. And for those who don't know what payola was a scheme I kind of cooked up, I guess. I think it was 2000s-y, maybe late 90s kind of thing. And it was just a scheme where people, marketers, labels would be paying media or radio to get plays, basically.
Yeah.
To get plays.
Pay for plays.
Paying for plays, which, was stamped out. But obviously, these tech companies like Spotify, because Spotify is a tech company, right? It's not a company that deals with music. It's just a tech company that has...
It's a tech company that provides a service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that service could have been anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That service could have been finding home loans, but it's having music on your phone, right?
It's serving music.
Yeah, exactly. So because it's a tech company, it's completely self-regulating in that sense. There's no regulation around there's copyright law and so on, and the laws of radio plays and how much and this is why Pandora kind of died, right? I don't know if you remember Pandora.
I remember Pandora.
Yeah, internet radio, right?
Yeah.
Because it was classified as radio, they had to pay a way higher revenue to people that were being played because the laws of radio is, I don't know.
They're set in stone all over the world.
And I don't know what the exact figures are, but they're definitely a lot higher than a stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this tech company, Spotify, has basically self-regulated and made up what the value of a stream is.
Yeah. It's the way in which it exists, it's a streaming platform. The laws don't really exist for it, so it kind of just circumvents everything already in existence.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of made its own rules, and the rules have had to catch up with it. But now saying, give up your very low revenue fee that you're earning off these plays on our platform to, maybe, just maybe get the chance of landing in someone's algorithmically created playlist is ridiculous. But I mean, Cam even brought up a good point is we're not making that much money off it anyway.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we? It's a scummy move, but why wouldn't we, take the chance just to kind of reach more ears? But I guess in my retort to that would be, one point is if everyone's doing it on the platform, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Just it becomes that diluted then.
Yeah, exactly. It's if we're all paying for plays, then there's only so many plays that can be made, so we're all paying for nothing. In the end, you just end up on the exact same playing field.
Exactly right.
And then the second point, I guess, is I'm totally blanking. Do you remember what my second point was?
No.
Something about the playlist. Oh yeah.
How it's not humanly curated.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much that it's curated by a human now. Is it so much that it's a stat on a computer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. You hit a playlist. That's great. You might have hit, 30,000 people. Say you hit 5,000 people in that playlist.
Yep.
Is that actually translating to 5,000 new fans?
5,000 people who are engaged with you as an artist.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Or is that just a random amount of streams? And your number's gone up, and that's cool. Great. Your number's gone up pretty high. But did that actually translate to the lived experience of a fan? You and I both know what being a music fan is like. You go to the show, you buy some merch, you buy a CD, you get a vinyl or something like that. And you kind of have that human interaction.
Yeah.
Which can happen online, totally can happen online. There are platforms that enable that. be they, streaming platforms or you can say social media and that kind of thing. But again, like, are you really reaching people with social media, or are you just like
out there in the ether?
In the ether of the internet world.
Yeah.
Can you translate followers on Instagram to buyers of music?
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to do.
It is.
And I feel like this is the exact same thing, right? You get...
Is there that correlation there? Like, yeah.
If, say, you release a single,
Yeah.
hits this playlist, gets 30,000 streams in 2 days, great, cool. And then you release another single only on Bandcamp or something like that.
Yeah.
And you want people to pay for it.
Yeah.
And no one comes to pay for it. What... Have you gained any... And I'm not saying like paying for it means you've got fans, but at the same time, it is kind of like a tangible...
Do people know it exists?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a tangible representative of, are people willing to kind of invest in you?
Yeah.
To a certain degree. I just think, it's just a weird place to be.
We're a weird world we live in. No, I agree wholeheartedly with you.
I don't know. What are your thoughts about it? Because I could kind of like ramble on about it forever.
I think there's a little bit of irony there. We're talking about getting cut about, Spotify taking money away from artists when we both, just talked about how we
use it. Yeah.
Or not only that, like how we used to file share so hard back in the day.
Yeah, of course. But again,
I understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. I think it's a bit ridiculous. That's kind of the state of affairs. That's, and it's dangerous setting a precedent like that.
Yeah,
because does that become the standard?
Yeah, and who's to say where the value lies at that point?
And I feel like it's such a hard thing, because at the end of the day, like, Spotify is just a service. They can sort of do whatever they want. It's almost as if they don't care about the musicians.
Yeah, well, why would they? Again, they're a tech
exactly
company.
Right, yeah.
Their business isn't music.
No.
Their business,
their business is people using their platform.
Exactly. Yeah. And yes, I understand that. Again, it is quite ironic that we are distributing this on Spotify as well. But you don't have to use Spotify. You could use Podbean or anything like that as well. So that's not my fault. Yeah. It's just a platform that we use. And again, it's like, it's a tool, right? It's another tool. Like
it is, yeah.
Our music is on it.
By all means, hit us up. We'll give you the MP3s.
Yeah. If you want, go to Bandcamp and download it. Okay. Yeah. But again, it is just a tool to like reach people in a sense. I just wonder about how those tools are being used by the creators to.
Well, that's the crazy thing. It's,
to enact their capitalist dreams on us.
Well, that's the thing. Yes, it exists and it's awesome to use, but like, is it going to stay this way? Like, I don't know. It's
hard to know.
It's crazy to think about. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should all just get off Spotify.
Socialize music again.
Yeah. Everyone just go to our Bandcamps and get stuff off there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Well, the world's changed too much to go back to that.
I don't know.
Well,
you can movements have worked in the past, right? But at the same time, you want to be on Spotify because that's where people can find it. Like the mainstream people can find
it.
Not
only that though, but just the convenience of a streaming service.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
it's just there. It's in your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And your phone's on you all the time.
Exactly. You yes, you can put music onto your phone. You can plug MP3s and stuff into it, whatever. But
you're not going to.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way, you know.
Which is not. It's kind of like a play the game thing, right? We can all put our music on Spotify, but let's not talk about promoting it on Spotify. And maybe that comes down to audience obligation and that kind of thing. I don't want to say everyone who's a fan and is audience member of the thing. It might be enough to go and stream the music. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Shows that you like it and you listen to it, and that's really what matters, is that you're listening to it. But at the same time, maybe as the creators who put the stuff on the platform, maybe we don't have to promote it so much. Don't put it in your Instagram feed being like, yeah, go and stream it on Spotify. Maybe, I don't know, think of an alternative way or something like that. I mean, I'm just posing the question, man.
Yeah, no, totally. But at the same time, like, how else do you promote it these days?
Exactly. It's an impossible task.
It is. It's quite the can of worms we've opened here.
Yeah. Bummer.
Oh, well.
A lot of it goes into the cost of making stuff, and I guess that's maybe a conversation for another day. I don't know if you want to dive into it or not.
Well, I mean, it is conversation for another day, but I mean, that's another thing that's fundamentally changed as well. I think a lot more bands and artists are DIY. You know, there's very little of that record label backing being like, okay, we're going to sign you, go and make us 3 albums. Here's the money to do that.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen anymore.
It still exists, but again, the label is adjusting as well. Like there are new forms of deals.
Yeah.
There are deals where it's not, you're not getting an advance and going to put an album out every year because that's what your contract stipulates, and your advance is for $80,000 or something like that, and you go and make an album and the rest you keep, and then you've got to pay it back and so on. But now, I mean, the label just has new ways of doing that. And even that that still kind of exists. But like you said, a lot of, and you know, technology has gotten to a point where it is kind of more democratized, right?
Yes.
Yes. We could make an album right now on the computer. We could just plug our guitars straight into the thing and use Bias and rip out some riffs.
Yep.
And get a pod mic and do some vocals and get good drums on it and have it all done. Which is cool. Yeah. It's very cool. Yeah. It means a lot more people have access to that technology and the ability to get their idea and make it real. But if you're going down a semi more conventional route in terms of having to go into a studio, that cost still exists.
Yeah, totally.
And then me and you could make an album right now, cool. But it doesn't have the expertise of a sound guy who's worked for 20 years. He knows every mic in the game.
Yeah.
He knows exactly where to place. He or she knows exactly where to place a drum mic.
Exactly. Yeah.
The experimentation of the studio space, everything that comes along with that process. Again, recording techniques and that kind of thing. We don't have a tape machine in here.
You're right.
We don't have a big old fucking 18-track reel-to-reel.
Yeah.
And those exist and those cost money, and that is part of the real cost of making that kind of record if you're going to make that kind of record. Yeah.
Spot on.
And sometimes you need someone else to facilitate
that. Yeah.
To go, here's $80,000. Go and make an album. And then we need to recoup that money.
Yep.
But if you're doing it DIY, and I think Cam and Snape talked about this, and this is the same with our experience in Lost Coast.
It's kind of only your time and money on the line.
It's exactly right. Yeah. But to that degree, you don't have all the money in the world.
No, exactly.
And you don't have all the time in the world either. And these things do end up costing money.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to... Yeah, maybe we shouldn't discuss the... Because I could talk about this entire thing. I could talk about it from end to end, right?
Yeah.
How much it costs to make an album on like our scale.
Yeah.
Which is our album was 9 songs.
Yeah.
Granted, it's 70 minutes of music, but, theoretically 9 songs is not that much.
No.
But it still costs a lot of money to do it. And you still need to be able to do it in the future. You still need to kind of be able to recoup that cost in a sense.
Yeah, it's very true.
And we do it because we like doing it, and we're going to do it nonetheless. But yeah, it's just something to think about, I guess. The cost of living.
Yeah, you're right.
But I guess, yeah, we'll talk about that another day, maybe.
So that's a whole other can of worms.
Because that's a whole other can of worms. Like we could break down the realistic logistics of that kind of thing. But, it gets done.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of working in the kind of independent DIY space is it does get done. And when it does get done, it does get done to a very high level. And and it's amazing to think of what, this is the thing about art is that it needs restrictions. You need to have, well, you don't need to have anything, but I kind of feel like you need to have, there's never going to be the perfect circumstance where you make something and it comes out exactly how you want it.
Some divine expression. It's no. You need some kind of framework.
Yeah,
to work within.
you need a restricting factor, and that could be time, that could be money, it could be the technology that you're working with, and that's what comes out, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
the idiosyncrasies of it is the beauty of it.
Well put.
But yeah, that's that. And I guess that covers. Mostly everything on our list, right?
Yeah, we went a bit deep there.
What a spirited conversation.
Yes.
Well, that's great.
It is.
I guess we'll talk about what we're listening to and why we like it, hey?
And why we like it.
Yeah. What are you listening to, mate? Tell me.
Today I actually listened to, on the way to and from work, I listened to an album cover for cover.
Oh, what did you listen to?
Songs to Scream at the Sun by Have Heart.
I actually saw that come up on you. I like how on the computer on Spotify you can see what other people are listening to.
Stalking me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just talking shit on Spotify for half an hour and now. I like that feature.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit out, like Boston's came on today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, this album.
So good.
Yeah, so I just listened to that today. But
I'm more of a
Things We Carry.
The Things We Carry.
They're both great albums.
Oh, well, they're both classics, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
We could talk about Have Heart for ages. No, but that was today, and then I guess this week it's just been listening to my normal metal daily mixes.
Nice.
Notable mentions: the new Ocean's 8 Alaska song Metamorph, again another single, but just a crazy band. I mean,
what was the band name? Ocean's
8 Alaska.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and you could say, if you want to define it, you could be like progressive technical metalcore.
Yeah,
but they're in that metalcore world. But I think they have a really unique sound where they sort of take elements from everything, but they put it together really, really well. There's kind of elements of all types of metal in their music, and they just put together so well. And it's just, I've been waiting for new music from them for so long.
Yeah. And here it is.
Yeah, and here it is. Same with the new Counterparts single, which is actually 2 songs.
Oh, yeah. So A and a B side.
Yeah.
Classic single.
Just waiting on new music. They're probably the two things I'm most excited about. Yeah.
Great bands.
Yeah, I love
Counterparts.
Counterparts.
Counterparts is great, and Have Heart's great.
Yeah.
The other band I don't know that well.
Probably not
at all.
Not up your alley.
Well, I like to listen to things. So.
You do.
But that's great. Anything else? Anything outside the realms of metal at the moment?
Still listen to the new covered album a little bit every now and then.
Yeah, it's
Technicolor,
good, isn't it?
It's so good. It's so good.
God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn her and her ability.
I like Yvette Young.
Yeah, she's really good.
She's really just a great musician and a great person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hate it. You hate to see it, right?
Yeah.
You hate to see that kind of tapping skill.
That kind of tapping skill, but I've always liked Covet as a band.
Yeah.
All right, cool instrumental math
Instrumentally,
rock. Yeah. But the new album with a bit of vocals on there, I was like, ooh, pretty spicy.
Yeah.
It works really, really well.
It does.
Yeah,
it does work really well. Is there anything she can't do?
I don't know. But compared to some of the old stuff, like they've really hit their groove a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of really locked in.
Yeah, exactly. And just that style of music, they've sort of really found their own sound in that space too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a lot less. Yeah, I think adding the voice to that. Although she does have a very distinct style of guitar playing as well.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
very melodic.
Yeah. Very melodic.
And I think I've heard her talk about like how she writes. She always kind of like has a melody and then kind of goes from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not so much like This Town Needs Guns or anything like that, or that kind of math rock.
Yeah.
Where it's very much like
math rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is just like, we're playing weird.
Yeah.
And you gotta like it. And the vocals will be really kind of basic stuff, but all the guitar work is really intricate. And the drum stuff is really intricate. Like them and like Elephant Jim and stuff like that as well. Very interesting.
What about you? What's on Ben's vibes?
What's on Ben's vibes? Recently, the Snape album.
Yeah, no,
Undone
that was really good.
Is really good.
Really good.
I like that a lot. Hetty actually released a new song recently, which is very good. Another heartstring tugger about being a wage slave, which I enjoy. That's the kind of content I enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
I have been infected with the K-pop bug.
Yep, of course.
And I have been infected with a specific song called I Can't Stop Me by the girl group Twice. And I can't fucking stop playing the song.
That's mad. If you love it, you love it.
I know. It's just like, fuck, why is it so damn infectious?
No, that's, that's the thing about music, it's subjective in that way, but like, to me, getting that joy out of it, when you really love a song like that and you can't stop playing it,
play it.
That's mad. That's what it's about.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and I, call me a stan then. I'm a K-pop stan. I'll join you guys on Twitter or whatever. Who are we attacking this week, guys? I'll get my Twitter handle out to help you out. Just let me know. I love that song. Fuck. I also recently Benny the Butcher's latest album is quite good. Very good raps. If you're a rap fan, I do suggest that. I also recently discovered 1-4, which are the Australian rap group. They're a drill / kind of grime group.
Yep.
And I enjoy grime.
Pretty hot at the moment, eh?
Yeah. Drill and that kind of stuff. I just kind of enjoy the energy of it. Just the instrumental energy of it, the bounce, everything like that.
It does have its own. Yeah.
It's a very distinct sound.
Yeah.
And I like for me, it kind of all, and this is going to sound weird, but it all kind of traces back to MIA. You remember MIA?
Yeah.
She's fantastic. I love MIA. I've written shit about her at uni and stuff like that. So, weirdly, I think it all kind of traces back to that. Just because she had a very different sound in that period of what was it, mid to late 2000s. Her and Diplo making basically dance hall inspired stuff with very weird sounds. And the kind of eclectic nature of it. And to me, that has just kind of flowed through to grime, which is the British version of, and then grime has gone worldwide.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been it's funny to see a rap style, because, hip hop from America and so on come back on itself.
Yeah.
Grime is now informing drill in the US.
No, that's a great observation. Yeah.
And now it's informing the Australian rap. And that's cool. I like that.
It's mad. Yeah. That's cool how music changes like that.
Yeah.
That's another can of worms. A few genres we could talk about that,
Exactly. Yeah. But then what else am I listening to? A song that I keep coming back to as well, much like you keep coming back to the covered album, another K-pop song, is this song called Soul Lady by Yukika, who I think is really interesting in terms of like her sound is very much 80s, like disco, city pop. It's this genre kind of called city pop, right? Which is like Japanese funk and disco and Korean funk and disco of the 80s. And they've somehow perfectly recaptured that sound but made it. That song, Soul Lady, is so sonically dense, but it works so well. It's fucked. That's all I can say about it. I'd say go and listen to it. And maybe we'll put links to like what we're talking about in the show notes and stuff like that, so that where you can, so people can go out and listen. But yeah, I really love that song. And then aside from that, like the new Helena Pop stuff. Yeah. And it came out a while ago, but fuck, it's so good. And we'll hopefully talk to all those people in the near future.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But I guess that's the episode, right?
Yeah. Well done if you've made it this far.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to us and our spiel.
Rambling on for
yeah,
however long it's been. But no, it's good.
Yeah. And we will do more of these in the future. I think we'll probably aim to do some kind of Christmas-themed episode.
You are really hell-bent on doing a Christmas episode.
Yeah, well, this is something that most people don't know about me, but I actually like Christmas music. Not so much like jingles and shit like that, but like
Mariah Carey Christmas.
Yeah. I just like it when people make fun Christmas songs.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. We'll talk about our favorite Christmas songs that, aren't Christmas songs.
I'll have to get into the Christmas cheer.
Yeah. Put your Kris Kringle hat on.
All right, well.
Nice. Thank you for listening. You can subscribe.
They know what to do.
Rate and review.
If they're listening to this, they know
what to do. Yeah. But, you got to say it just for posterity. Go on the YouTube channel and hit subscribe there. Rate and review or tell your friends about the podcast. We thank you so very much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Cassette Connection is recorded and produced by Ben Hub and Alex Ferrugia. For more information, head to our website, cassetteconnection.com.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Cassette Connection. And if you would like to be featured or just want to get in touch, our email is contact@cassetteconnection.com.